Hey guys, we are Magic Marketing. Our group consists of Alex, Daniel, Zap, and Earl. In this presentation, we will break down how a consumer would go through the 5 stages of the consumer decision-making process when purchasing a product of our choice. For this presentation, we will use the latest Samsung Galaxy S7 smartphone as an example. Before we get started, the consumer decision-making process includes 5 stages. These stages are need recognition, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, and post-purchase behavior.
The need recognition is the first and most important step in the buying process. It is when you recognize the need for a certain product, in this case, a new phone. You might realize you need a new phone just to keep up with trends, or when Tim Cook takes to the stage in September and announces a new iPhone is upon us. Or when Samsung unveils its latest Galaxy phone for Android. Another reason to get a new phone is if your old one is starting to slow down and get glitchy, the touchscreen is slow to respond, or if you have to deal with the one thing worse, a cracked phone.
Step 2 of the consumer decision-making process involves the consumer searching for information about the Samsung Galaxy S7 to minimize the risk of buying and reduce the uncertainties about the product. The main risks that would be needed to consider for the Samsung Galaxy S7 would be the financial risk, is it worth the price paid, and the functional risk, does the Samsung Galaxy S7 perform to expectations. There are 2 types of searches that a consumer can do, an internal search and an external search. An internal search is just the consumer recalling existing knowledge of the product. In this case, a consumer may have previously used an older version of the Samsung Galaxy or another Samsung product and was satisfied with the brand, which would make them more inclined to purchase the product, as the risk of buying the product has been reduced. However, if the consumer has no prior knowledge or experience with the Samsung brand or their smartphones, they may turn to external searches for information. External search is information the consumer received from market-controlled sources, such as advertising or salesperson, or it can be a market-controlled source such as friends, family, or reviews. Consumers go to Samsung shop. An example would be a consumer goes to Samsung shop to find information about the Samsung Galaxy S7. However, the consumer is more likely to be skeptical of the information provided by these sources. Therefore, the consumer is more likely to trust non-marketing controlled sources of information. For example, if a friend has already purchased the Samsung Galaxy S7 and tells the consumer that it is worth the price and has a lot of functions, the consumer would value the information from the friend more than the salesperson, since it doesn't affect the friend if the consumer buys the product or not.
Step 3 is the analysis of evaluation of alternatives. Consumers are faced with the decision to buy a product or utilize a service on a daily basis, and at times more than often there is rarely a unanimous single decision. In a society that is regarded to be highly competitive at every corner, an individual is able to purchase a product from a wide variety of alternatives and substitutes. The Samsung Galaxy S7 is considered to be a popular choice amongst mobile phone users. However, it is not only its striking design that puts it ahead of rivals, but its ability to give the consumers what they really want and look for in a smartphone. Combined with a strong marketing campaign, Samsung's flagship model, the Galaxy S7, is ranked by Forbes as the best-selling smartphone of 2016. Without a doubt, as a new smartphone is released to the public, there will be changes and upgrades made, whether it is based on the predecessor model or a competitor model. However, the ability for the smartphone to sell well in the marketplace is not necessarily based on the upgrades or changes themselves, but how consumers value these changes. The preference of each consumer and how they value the particular features, upgrades, or changes made to a smartphone will inevitably determine whether it is strongly considered or not considered at all within the marketplace. In the eyes of the producers, a change or upgrade made to a smartphone will always be seen as a necessity, but in the eyes of the consumer, a necessity can quickly become something more trivial or even at times a feature considered to be a gimmick or just plain unnecessary. The companies who are able to target consumers and what they believe to be a necessary upgrade or feature will ultimately generate the greatest amount of market influence, as well as becoming successful smartphone providers. A recent article by Christopher Versace, the Chief Investment Officer of Tematica Research, has shown that consumers don't require 1,000 different and potentially beneficial upgrades to a smartphone, but only 4 main upgrades that are considered to be a necessity. improved battery life, a durable device, better voice recognition, and simply better security. From the analysis of the 10 best-selling smartphones of 2016, it can be concluded that consumers evaluate alternatives based on their features, upgrades, changes from previous models, and brand name, which ties into market share of the company itself. The research has further shown that a large proportion of consumers will prefer a clear, vibrant display that features a high-resolution screen and pixel density. Battery life remains to be an important upgrade amongst users, with the majority opting for a smartphone that encases a large battery capacity accompanied by a long usage time. It also has become clear that most popular smartphones are also the most expensive ones, which goes to show that consumers are not afraid to spend money on quality product that is suitable to their needs and fulfill necessities. Samsung is well regarded for making quality smartphones, and with a market share of 50% larger than its second rival, Apple, it's no surprise that 3 out of 10 best-selling smartphones of 2016 are models produced by Samsung.
The consumer will make their purchase decision based on which product is most appropriate for their needs, whether it is the Samsung Galaxy S7 or the alternatives. From step 3, the consumer can see that the Samsung Galaxy S7 is a top-of-the-range product and having some of the highest specifications when compared to other smartphones. Consumers might also make the decision to purchase the product on the fact that the Samsung Galaxy S7 specifications are a lot better than the iPhone 6s, which is from Apple, Samsung's main competitor and rival company. However, there are also a few other things that may influence the actual purchase decision of the consumer. Things such as the actual process leading up to the purchase decision. For example, if a consumer went to an Apple store and was treated rudely by the sales rep, but then went to a Samsung store and the sales rep was more helpful, the consumer is more inclined to purchase the Samsung Galaxy S7. Something else that could occur that would affect the consumer's purchase decision is a discount. The consumer may have been leaning toward an alternative, but there was a sale for the Samsung Galaxy S7, or a sales rep was willing to give the consumer a good deal, which will make the consumer more likely to purchase the Samsung Galaxy S7. If the product meets the needs of the consumer, then they will be satisfied. If the consumer may not be satisfied with the product if the company has poor customer service after the purchase. If the consumer is satisfied with their product, it is likely that they will continue to use the brand, and if they are not satisfied, they will most likely change to another brand such as a rival brand.
In conclusion, as you can see, before a consumer decides on purchasing a product, he or she will need to consider a few factors before committing themselves into the purchase. As you can see, the 5 stages of the consumer decision-making process plays a huge part when it comes to pre-purchasing of a product. Need recognition requires consumers to figure out what the actual problem or need is to determine why they need to purchase this product. Information search involves the consumers to have the need to search for information about the specific product that they want to purchase, whether they're through internal or external influences, such as friends, advertising, etc. Evaluation of alternatives, on the other hand, is the stage where a consumer would consider other product options. This stage is influenced by the price, warranty, attractiveness, or the polarizing features. Stage 4 is the purchase decision. How did the consumer come to this purchase decision? What factors might influence the consumer during the purchasing process, e.g., the experience in store or on the website, influence of another person, such as partner or friend. Lastly, the post-purchase behavior. Why might the consumer feel satisfied with his purchase? Why might the consumer feel dissatisfied with his purchase? How might this impact their next purchase? These 5 stages of consumer decision-making process is important to each consumer considering to purchase a product. Not only is this important, but it is also a stage that everyone falls into and is hard to avoid.
When looking for a new smartphone, there's many variables that need to be considered. An example would be your price range. Options for it are near endless because of the plenty of brands, it has become more difficult to identify them and make the decision. You can choose anything from a basic flip phone that can just do the basics like call and text to a high-end smartphone like the Samsung Galaxy S7 that can do everything. The cheaper model smartphones are also an option, but they lack many key characteristics of a good high-quality smartphone. Based on the website TechRadar, the Samsung Galaxy S7 and the S7 Edge are the two best smartphones on the market at the moment, beating out the iPhones, LGs, HTCs, and all others. Therefore, the most obvious recommendation would be one of the Samsung Galaxy S7 phones, if you're looking for the best overall performer on the market. Using an online service called Phone Arena, you can compare the specifications of different phones and the consumer ratings. In this case, I compared the two Samsung phones together with the Apple iPhone 6s, and the results are as follows. The iPhone wins on just two categories, while the Samsung phones beat out in everything else. Therefore, the Samsung Galaxy S7 is the recommendation.